I would like to call the Human Resources Committee to order. It is now 5:35 on August the 13th, and we are at Nashua High School North. Roll call.
Okay, Ms. Timmons,
Here.
Ms. Van Twyver,
Here.
Mrs. Porter is here, Ms. O'Gara. Here. Okay.
Also present is no one. Oh, that's it.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, on the agenda, we had two items, and that is the administrative interview and personnel recommendations. So we have in front of us removing Ms. Helene Talbert for New Searles Elementary School. And in the packet that you got on Friday is a resume. So, Ms. Talbert, can you tell the community about yourself?
Sure. So I started out my career in education in early childhood. I worked in a kindergarten after-school program for a couple of years. Really enjoyed that. I actually got there through sort of a funny story. I was actually in the computer industry, and I got laid off, Wang Labs, if you remember. Oh. So they finally got me. I got laid off, and my children were in this center, and it was an amazing center, and I didn't want them to lose their spot, because years ago, if you took your children out of a child care center, you lost the spot. So in order to keep them there, the director, sort of as a joke, said, I'll tell you what, I'll hire you as a kindergarten co-teacher, and that'll pay your tuition, and we'll give you health benefits. So it was a win-win. I think they paid me $7.35 an hour. So I started there, and I really enjoyed it. I was there for probably about a year and a half, and I was sort of co-teaching in kindergarten, and then we had the after-school children come, and quickly I knew that probably education is where I wanted to be. I had went to college for it, but then went to the computer industry, made a lot of money, and wasn't sure I was coming back to education. So while I was there, they asked me if I would be interested in administration. I was pretty involved in everything in the center, and I had some supervisory experience. So they asked me if I was interested in working in a center in Tewksbury, Massachusetts that was a mess. And they wanted me to go there and pretty much tear it down and build it back up. And it was quite the challenge. So I started there in, I want to say, 96, and pretty much ended up letting go of the whole staff and starting fresh. And the center ended up, I think I was there 5 or 7 years. The center ended up being very, very successful. And so they came to me and asked if I wanted to open a brand new center in Nashua. So I got to open a child care center in Nashua from the ground up, very large center, 300 families. And that center ended up doing also exceptionally well. So then they asked me if I wanted to travel and help directors open new centers. So I did that for a little while, but I was traveling and I wasn't with my children. So I came back to my original center in Nashua, and I worked as a director. And then I was collaborating with the Nashua Community College. They asked me if I wanted to be an adjunct. So I went over there and I started teaching early childhood in the college arena. And a couple years into that, Mary Ann Dustin from Nashua High said, I am in desperate need of a high school teacher to teach early childhood. And I want you to see if you can find somebody. You know a lot of people in Nashua, you're in the field. And I said, okay. And I remember saying, you know, what are the hours? What is the pay? And she said the hours were like 7 to 2. And it went bing. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what? I'm working 6 to 6. I'm teaching college at night. You know, maybe I'll go for this. So I sort of went in just like, I don't know, maybe I'll like it. And ended up getting the position, loved it. Stayed there for 3 years, but again, I'm a pretty busy person. I like to be active, and I do like the administrative piece. So while I was teaching that class, one of the headmasters had a very bad family problem, and he had to go on a leave. So they asked me to cover. He was a headmaster, so I covered him for leave. I ended up going back to school. I got my master's degree in educational administration and ended up a headmaster at South. Then I was an assistant principal. I stayed there for, I want to say 12 years. I was an administrator for 8 years there. And then at the end of the summer, about 3 years ago, Jen Susing called and said, you would never consider middle school, would you? And I was like, I don't know, maybe. I was ready for something. You know, 8 years is a long time. So again, it was like a fluke. I went to the interview for Fairgrounds Middle School, and I was very honest in the interview. Some people in the interview did not like my answers, but I was honest. And I got the position, and so I was there for 3 years. Absolutely loved middle school. I wasn't sure that I would. And I've been sort of picky about the positions that I've applied for principal, because I really wanted to make sure it was a place that I felt comfortable. So probably when I was at South, Jay Harding was out on a leave, and I covered him and fell in love with New Searles. It's just a very small family, really warm, just a great, great school. And I remember walking in the first day, and it was like, this is home. Like, this just feels so good. And so when New Searles opened up, I decided maybe it was time to come full circle. So here I sit.
Oh, great. Do we have any questions from Ms. Tolbert?
Well, when did you work at Wang? Because I worked there too.
I want to say
83?
87.
Oh, you're after me. I was there in 83.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there as a contractor, though. Many of us who were in the computer industry have moved into education, so you're at the right spot.
Exactly.
And you look like you have a gold halo over your head because you've moved into a lot of spots by luck, just being in the right spot at the right time. And I'd like to congratulate on you for doing this. I'd like to say welcome, but you've been here in this district for a long, long time, so I don't really have any questions for you, except for the fact that you now, as a principal, it's not going to be as close to probably the students as you once were. And I assume that you have dealt with that and think that it's going to be okay for you.
Well, honestly, I think that one of the things about New Searles is that there's only a part-time assistant principal. So that, at first, I thought, I'm really collaborative. I really would like to have a full-time assistant principal. And then I said, but then I'll be with the kids when she's not there. So I think maybe I'll have the best of both a little bit, because there's only a part-time now.
So this is a half job?
No.
So the assistant there is
The
half-time.
assistance is the half job. They switched from Mount Pleasant to New Searle, their AP does.
Yes, Amanda Cerrone is half-time at New Searles and half-time at Mount Pleasant.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All righty. Got it. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'd like to note that Ray Garino just walked in, so could you put him down? Do you have any questions for Ms. Tolbert?
I don't have any questions because I had the pleasure of being on the interview committee, and it was a pleasure, and we're just really excited. I know that the people on the committee are very excited. It's a good time of year. You're coming in, hit the ground running, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Garino?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say welcome also. And the half principal, Ms. Cerrone, is she used to be a teacher at Sunset Heights. So I think even though you only have her half time, I think she's great.
Good.
So I think you're gonna have a good team to work with.
Good.
Okay.
Good, I'm excited.
Yep.
And I'd like to say that I had a grandson who told me that you were the only one that he can go to at Fairgrounds to speak with. I said, you sure it's the same one? Yes, Grandma, I'm sure. She's really, really cool. She was the best one there. I said, really? So I guess you did a great job, Susan, for congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. So
I'm still confused. It's a half-time job and half doing curriculum, or it's just a half-time job?
It's a full-time position,
Yeah.
right.
half-time assistant principal at New Searles, half-time assistant principal at Mount Pleasant. That was Jill Peck's position, and she was split between the two schools. So she's all assistant principal, she's just at New Searles.
Between two schools?
Yep.
Got it, thank you.
But this young lady will be there full time,
What?
right? She'll
Yeah,
be
she'll
there
be-
full time.
Now I'm back to Is she going to be at New Searles for the full time?
The principal will be there full-time.
Fine.
She's going to be full-time principal. Her assistant principal is going to be
be
between
part-
Mount Vernon and New Searles. That's
Right,
Ms.
Mount
Pleasant.
Mount Pleasant.
I'm
and-
sorry, Mount
you-
Pleasant and New,
Right.
Mount
right.
Pleasant and
Whatever.
New Searles.
Congratulations.
Now I'm confusing you
Figure it
more, I'm
out.
Okay,
sorry.
you got it, Ms. Van Twyver. She's going to be our full-time principal at New Searles. And I'd like to move to accept Ms. Talbot for principal at New Searles Elementary School. I'm moving this forward.
For the 2018?
No, I'll do that at the full board meeting.
Okay, second.
What salary?
Yeah.
Okay, go
For
ahead.
the 2018-19 school year at an annual salary of $98,750.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, that's it.
Yeah, don't be late on Monday. I guess it's 2 Mondays, right? You have a little time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is personnel recommendation, and we have a revised copy. Can you pass this down to Mr. Carino? And the difference between the original and the revised is 4 additionals, right, Ms. O'Gara?
Yes, we have added a resignation that just is came through today, and another one that came through last week, and 2 nominations.
Okay, any questions regarding the personnel recommendation? No? Okay, if not, I'd like to have a motion to accept the personnel recommendation. Or I can move this. The revised, dated August 13, 2018, the revised personnel recommendation.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Did you have questions, Ms. Van Dyke?
No, I didn't hear the first.
I asked, was there any questions regarding the personnel recommendation?
Did you make the motion to accept them?
Yes.
She made the motion
Okay,
and I
just 'cause
second.
I didn't have-
I'm sorry.
All I heard was a second. Okay.
Okay, and then all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so motion carries. The personnel recommendation has been passed, the revised copy of August 13, 2018, and there's a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we adjourn at 6:45.